Hello friends, Adam here with FED. So I put up a poll asking which game was better, Path of Radiance or Binding Blade. And Path of Radiance won by a long shot, kind of what I expected given my opinion, and people tend to watch people who they agree with, and me not liking the GBA games as much, but I was surprised by the disparity. I was surprised by how much people liked Path of Radiance over Binding Blade. 83% picked Path of Radiance. And there's some really good comments, and thank you so much for everyone who participates in these polls and everything. It means a lot. But I don't really want to talk about the poll today. That's part of a bigger project that I'll get into at another time. But one comment from Neo G really struck me, and I thought it was really interesting as a video topic. So they said, ooh, that's a tricky one. The tryhard in me is saying Binding Blade since it offers a bit more challenge and difficulty, but Path of Radiance is just so good despite how easy it usually is. It's like a popcorn Fire Emblem game. I'll have to give the edge to Path of Radiance since the bonus experience system is so insanely flexible and essentially makes every unit viable. Okay, that's not important. It's a popcorn Fire Emblem game. So that's a term with like movies, like going to the movies. It's a popcorn film or a popcorn movie. It's not something you're watching to get some challenge. Like you're not watching it to challenge your mind or get some deep meaning out of. You're just watching a popcorn movie to have fun. Think like, I don't know. I would say like The Avengers is a popcorn movie, right? It's you're not there to be challenged in any way. You're not there to have to think about the plot or anything like that. You're literally just there to watch some cool movie action and superheroes killing people and having fun, right? And see funny quips and maybe get a couple of chuckles out of it. You're just there for the experience of being at the movies more than anything, right? That's what a popcorn movie is. And a popcorn Fire Emblem game. I think that's a really interesting concept. And it made me think which games in the series are like popcorn Fire Emblem games, right? And I think I want to make a quick tier list of this and talk about each game in the series. So bear with me. I know I already did a tier list this week, and I try not to do too many of them, but this is going to be our second tier list for the week. I think this is a really fun and interesting topic. So what makes a popcorn game is the question, though. And I think a good example, I think Path of Radiance is the perfect example. It has a colorful, fun cast of characters that are memorable. It has supports, things that the player just likes to read and just relax to. The gameplay isn't overly challenging. It's not going to, break your brain trying to complete it. Nor does it want to. It wants to give you just like a fun, easy time, I feel like. It's kind of how it's designed. And it's more about just like seeing numbers go up and the RPG elements that way, rather than like a strategical brain twister, right? So I think that's the definition we're going to go off of. So that's a popcorn game to me. And the opposite of that, of course, being something that challenges you on a deeper level, more than just like, throw big number at small number and win, which that's basically what Fire Emblem boils down to when it all comes down to it, right? But I think of games like Three Houses Maddening has moments that's not the way just to win, right? So let's talk about it in a quick tier list. I think this will be a fun little discussion here, and then we'll go to that point, I guess. All right, so here's our tier list. Popcorn FE, in between, meat and potatoes are 3 tiers. Popcorn FE being, games that don't necessarily want to challenge you and are just there to be a good time. In between, somewhere in between, and meat and potatoes being the games that really focus on the numbers, the strategy, that kind of stuff. This isn't me saying like if you like a popcorn FE game over other ones that like I'm saying you don't like strategy or something like that. Don't take anything offensively. Just hear me out here, because I like some of the popcorn FE games over a lot of the meat and potato stuff. So we'll talk about it. Don't worry. We're gonna kind of go lightning round. We're gonna go quick here with some of these. FE1 I think is very meat and potatoes, just because it's so basic. There's not a whole lot there to be like, oh wow, characters, story, fun. Gaiden, similar. New Mystery, similar. FE4 is going to be our first Popcorn Fire Emblem game. I was tempted to put it in between, but I think Popcorn Fire Emblem fits it. It's less about the strategy and stuff and more about building characters and just like the cozily sitting, watching a story, reading a story, you know. I don't think there's a whole lot of challenge there that's meant to like frustrate the player or anything or really make the player think that hard. It's more about creating incredibly powerful characters for later in the game and like that kind of thing. Thracia, I don't think anyone's going to argue with me there. Very meat and potatoes, very strategy focused. Stats all cap out at 20. So it's like, it's not like you're gonna get like the dopamine of big numbers. Characters don't interact a whole lot outside of cutscenes, stuff like that. So there's no like sports or anything. So meat and potatoes, definitely. Binding Blade. I was thinking meat and potatoes, but I think I'm gonna do in between because it's so colorful and it's a lot of people's comfort game. It's very colorful, very happy that way, but it is really difficult. Binding Blade, make no mistake, is a very hard game. People kind of forget that game is difficult because the other GBA games are pretty easy. But it's still colorful, still comfy for a lot of people, and it has supports and stuff. People like that stuff. I wish the supports were easier to grind, but they're there. FE7, definitely a Popcorn Fire Emblem game. Same with Sacred Stones. Neither are too terribly difficult. They of course they both have their moments, but it really does feel like it's more about exploring the world, the characters, and that kind of stuff. Path of Radiance, I do think might be like the ultimate popcorn game. You're not there. Like it's slow. You can be doing other stuff while playing it even. It's just there to like, I don't know, it's just a chill, relaxing game to play. The music's good. It's not, and the music's not even like super intense. It's just like good. It's just chill music. And the story is really great. Tons of supports, really well done. The characters are memorable and fun. I think that's like quintessential like popcorn Fire Emblem. I like that. On the other hand, I think Radiant Dawn's a pretty meat and potatoes experience. Not a lot of fluff in Radiant Dawn. Not a lot of fluff. The story is long. There's a lot of story stuff, but other than that, there's no. They've got rid of supports and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a very meat and potatoes experience. Shadow Dragon, also meat and potatoes experience. New Mystery, I'm going to put it in between. I think a lot of people think New Mystery would go in meat and potatoes, but New Mystery is more about, it is more about the numbers and stuff like that, especially on the harder difficulties. But there are support conversations. They are there, and they aren't a focal point, but they do exist, and I think that is enough to make some people play through it on a lower difficulty and enjoy it that way. So definitely an in between for me. And also avatars are just like inherently like, ooh, I can put myself in this story, have fun. Awakening, popcorn game. Definitely popcorn game. I don't think anyone's gonna argue with me on that one, unless you're playing on like Lunatic Plus or something. But that's stupid. Don't play on Lunatic Plus. It's not fun. Conquest. I was tempted to do meat and potatoes, but ultimately it's an in-between game because it does have so much going for it in the way of fan service. I don't know anyone who sits down and says I'm going to enjoy the story of Conquest, but there still are a lot of supports and character building and stuff that goes beyond the meat and potatoes of the numbers and strategy. Birthright and Rev are both going to go in popcorn, though. I can't justify putting them anywhere else. Shadows of Valentia, definitely a popcorn game. Probably one of the bigger ones for me, just because it's so well presented. It's like watching a movie, right? It's like watching a movie. It's so well presented. It is voice acted incredibly. It's pretty to look at. Combat animations are slick, fast, and the gameplay itself isn't too challenging. And there's infinite grinding, which adds to that too. So definitely a popcorn game. Three Houses, my initial thought was popcorn, but I think it's definitely an in-between. There's a lot of strategic depth. A lot of strategic depth to Three Houses, especially on Maddening, even on hard mode. But there's so much with the story and supports and paralogs and the monastery and all that stuff that feels so not Fire Emblem, like so just there to be like something to do in your free time and enjoy. I don't know. It doesn't feel like an intense session of gameplay when I play Three Houses. It feels like I'm just chilling. Hey. Now we're gonna do some of the spin-offs and other stuff. And by spin-offs I mean now we're gonna do like Kaga Saga. Tearing Saga, definitely more of a popcorn game than anything. It's not really challenging in like any way. A lot of open maps. I think it might be challenging on your first playthrough or something if you don't know things coming, but definitely more about all the characters and building fun stuff and things like that. Meat and potatoes definitely going. Berwick Saga is definitely going there, right? I don't think anyone would argue that. It's a very meat and potatoes experience. There are some fun character moments and character story things, but ultimately it is about the strategy in the maps and stuff like that. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE is the quintessential popcorn game. It is just anime schlock. It is absolute nonsense, but hey, if you're into it, you're into it. Heroes, I was gonna put Heroes in popcorn, but I think it's in between. I think Heroes is, I think for many people, it's, you know, it's just the game that you sit, while you play while you're sitting on the toilet, you know, or you're sitting in a line at the DMV or something. You just have some time to kill. You're sitting in line at Chipotle, you whip out your Fire Emblem Heroes, whatever, and you play for a few minutes and you put it away. But some people get really into it and it can be really intense, right? With the skills are getting ridiculous. The numbers are, yeah. I've seen some of the stuff. I haven't played it in like 4 years, but yeah, Heroes has some pretty insane stuff going on for it in that way. Definitely an in-between. And we'll also do Visteria Saga. We're just going to put it in meat potatoes. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Anyone who's played it, very meat and potatoes gameplay. All right. There you go. That's the tier list. Thanks for watching, guys. This was a really fun concept. Thank you, NeoG, for your awesome comment about this stuff. It definitely was a fun exercise to think of the games in this way. And I think it kind of opens up why I like different games more than others, or for certain things. Like, I love Path of Radiance, but I don't love it for being challenged. It's definitely more of like a comfort game, right? But I also love Thracia 776, but it's not like I love the story or anything that much. It's more just like the gameplay is really fun for me, right? And Radiant Dawn 2, same thing. So I think it's perfectly fine to like any of the games on the list, of course, no matter where they are. But I think this is a fun way to look, like, oh, why do I like these games? And maybe this is why. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe, help us reach 25,000 before the end of the year. Even if we reach 20,000, I'll be very happy. Please like the video, comment your thoughts. What do you think of this list? And I will catch you next time.